Summoners, we are back. IPL killing spree. We're going on to Game 2, Reflex versus EPIK. Wow. That was just a tug of war the entire way, man.
Yeah, I mean, that game was really insane. I didn't know what to expect from Reflex.
Reflex. Okay, I mean, a lot of people don't have
a story.
A lot of people don't have a lot of experience watching Reflex play. I mean, I went down when the first time I saw these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I went down to MLG Providence.
Yeah.
When they got their slot, and granted they didn't do too well.
Right.
But I will say this much: I love Reflex's work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got knocked out of the tournament. You gonna go party? You gonna go just be silly around the city? No. Sat down and scrimmed with Dignitas the entire weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That I love that in anyone in esports. You have that practice, you have that devotion, you have that love of the game.
And that's a lot of what Dignitas is too. It's that devotion. I mean, so they're kind of similar teams. That's actually the team we saw is a very much Dignitas kind of team running Trundle and then Rise, that single target damage, allowing for that kite potential. So that's kind of interesting. But I don't know. We did see a lot of coordination from Reflex. Really, we talking about like where EPIK kind of slipped up, and the fact of the matter is the only time that EPIK really was in that game was in the beginning when Reflex went for the dragon and weren't able to get the engage that they wanted to. They tried to initiate off of the dragon into EPIK, and EPIK was able to win that fight and then get the dragon. That was the huge advantage that EPIK got. And then for the rest of the game, Reflex just played a really solid game.
Yep. And so here's one more reminder for you guys. We mentioned this at the top of the program. Mention it again. We have another Razer mouse pad for you guys. We have another IPL hoodie. That microphone, sorry. We got another IPL hoodie for you guys. If you want to win these, all you need to do is hop on Twitter, IGN at IGN Pro League, and just tweet at us who you think is going to win. And don't wait. There's more, because we have a bunch.
Cover up the codes.
I'm covering up the numbers.
Oh wait,
no, we're good. No, Riot
okay.
Nasus. He's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. We have these codes for you guys. All we need you to do is, if you've been playing on the latest patch, if you have a really cool play, you want to send it to us. If you're running LoL replay, which I hope you are,
or just like a good game, or
good play, something something you might want to see up in lights. That really nice play of yours. Send the replay to us at iplreplays@gmail.com. If we like it, Riot Nasus is yours. Done. So with that, everyone is in the game.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I got some water in me. My throat was a little dry, but I'm feeling good. Once again, I'm the Red Baron.
I'm HatPerson.
So you can check me out on Twitter at BaronCast and at HatPerson. We are going to start up the game here.
Yep.
So it should be really interesting to see where EPIK goes from here. But we saw a ton of coordination from Team Reflex. I think the key is going to be changing up the bans.
Yeah.
And I think they really need to consider banning Rise. Actually, we have EPIK is going to have the first pick, so they probably need to take Rise with that first pick.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is the game actually. So actually that would be a good decision on their part. I'm not sure if I would allow them to have Sivir, because if EPIK is trying for that early game aggression, then Sivir does stall the game very effectively. And then also the fact that as those fights started happening later and later in the game, they couldn't kill Sivir. They couldn't kill anyone really, but Sivir was able to just throw off that AoE damage and just sit up confidently, whereas Tristana kind of was sitting in the back, never able to quite fulfill her damage
there
potential.
It is. There's the Sivir ban. There it is. Called it. So, EPIK did lose the first game, so they had their choice. They were opting for first ban and first pick along with the blue side.
Yeah, and the thing that's going to be interesting to me is, seeing this second game with Reflex. We saw what they're capable of, but now their comp is basically going to be destroyed. We've got Sivir ban. I'm hoping to see a Rise pick by EPIK, but we'll see. It could be anything really. Yeah. But I don't expect they're going to have the same comp. And so where's their flexibility? We
also still have the safe Shaco ban. We're not going to take any risks. We was just nerfed today.
A ton of junglers being banned.
Oh yeah, Skarner's. Skarner's not someone I've seen a whole lot of lately. I still feel that kind of odd, because I still feel he's pretty top tier as junglers go.
Yeah.
And Rammus is
Well,
still.
he was nerfed slightly, but he is still very
We're
strong.
seeing the Kennen ban also coming in here from Reflex. So Rise is open, and they're going to take Graves.
Oh, well, there
Epic's
you go.
taking Graves. All right.
I mean, so right off the bat, they can kind of get their comp still, but the lack of Sivir, that is going to be, a huge change. Though we'll see. I mean, Sivir's not usually that aggressive of a champion, and yet still she was able to win bot lane so effectively against Tristana.
Oh, no, she wasn't. Then she got buffed.
Right. Well, yeah.
That tends to happen when you get buffed. You become more of an aggressive champ. But I'm crossing my fingers. It's a long shot. Someone else was buffed today. I kind of want to see him. Mundo. It's probably not going to happen.
There's no way.
Probably
Mundo
not going to happen.
Not buffed enough to be seen in this game for some time.
I kind of want to.
I want to see Jax or
Jax.
Jax would be strong.
Jax is my
I'm a little
favorite.
bit surprised that we're not seeing people forcing out.
Yeah.
That actually might be interesting for Epic. I don't know who would play. I guess Dinh would maybe play Jax in the jungle.
Okay. And so we have Corki and Soraka being picked up by Reflex. Now we were talking a little bit about this last week, about Soraka being like a good counter pick to Corki.
Yeah, but
now they're together, their forces combined.
Yeah. But they are going up against Graves, and Graves, Corki is a very much he's an early game caster kind of DPS. He's got lots of flexibility, versatility in where he wants to go, but he's got a ton of damage early. But Graves with the passive, as always, is going to have a lot of armor and magic resist. So he is a very defensive champ. Though if they do go with the Janna, then I would be a little bit concerned for Epic. I mean, Janna can be a very strong champion in a lot of situations. She, the control she gives you later through the team fights is just fantastic. So I would love to see the Janna play of Nhat Nguyen. However, Janna doesn't have a heal, and it's obvious, but you're going up against Corki, who's very aggressive early game, who's going to be fed by Soraka, just giving him constant mana to spam, giving him those heals. It's a heal versus a not heal lane, and that's going to result in a lot of aggression by Corki, and Graves is going to have to watch out now.
So we have Janna, and we have Amumu, which, Amumu's kind of fallen off lately.
Yeah,
he's not as quick as he used to be, and if he gets counter jungled or invaded early, he does really kind of take it to heart, and it shows.
And the biggest thing with Amumu, he can be absolutely devastating with his double disables. However, his ganking potential is extremely low if he doesn't hit that bandage toss. And so that's the key. Amumu needs to clear the gap some before he can use that bandage toss. And, if it's usually a pretty simple dodge, and then it's kind of like, okay, where do I go from now? But it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure where they're going with this comp. You look at Janna and Amumu kind of, counter picks to each other. Amumu, he can get a good engage, and Janna doesn't necessarily have to be a counter pick. Her ultimate it's not like you're going to blow the Amumu all and the Janna all at the same time. It's all about team control and, disables for the team fight. But I'm not really sure where they're looking to go. Like, I see lots of damage, lots of single target damage from Reflex. They've got the Lee Sin. They've got a huge damage output from Rumble.
If Rumble worked first game, I mean, why would not work again? So, and I would really be hesitant if I were on Epic to go back again to Vlad to redo that lane. I mean, provided it was an even lane.
Yeah.
End game.
Well, I don't know. I think Vlad had a lot of damage as the game progressed. I think probably maybe the biggest weakness to their team was, it's a number of weaknesses, so it's kind of like, it's weird to call it the biggest. But
Cassidy.
I was going to say Ahri wasn't able to get the burst that she wanted, and then Malphite not able to get the engages. In the meantime, I don't know, lots of disables, lots of mobility from their team. It should be interesting to see how the single target burst of Cassidy and the mobility works out. That'll be really key to make sure that they get those blue buffs, and if Reflex can control those blue buffs, that'll be huge.
And so Epic is going to go again for the double AP lanes. Reflex, changing it up. We're hovering over Tryndamere. We're not quite sure yet. I'd like to see Tryndamere. If Tryndamere gets picked, Rumble mid against Cassidy. Yo, man.
And we saw
Rumble. I mean,
actually, this is almost identical to the comp that Curse beat CLG with last week. The only difference is instead of Rumble, instead of Zillion last week, it's Rumble this week. So
yeah.
I'm not sure how the lanes are going to match up.
Well, I can tell you right now because I also played quite a bit of Kassadin.
Okay.
He doesn't do too good against Rumble.
Kassadin doesn't do well against Rumble?
At least not what I've played.
Well,
because he's got his shield. He's got his shield.
Shield.
He's got his flame spitter. You know, I mean, Kassadin's kind of...
That's true. The melee does work particularly effectively.
Yeah,
for
and
Rumble.
then if Kassadin wants to get any last hits worth of damn, he needs to get in melee range.
Yeah, Rumble is very effective against melee champions. I'm not, I guess the shield does help against that Q spam.
It's not, but it's going to help. I mean, I'm expecting Kassadin to lose mid pretty hard.
Okay.
That's what I'm calling it right now. I may be wrong, but we will see.
It's been called.
It's been called. It has been called. Ugh.
And this is actually wild. We see double heals going out once again for both teams this time. Reflex, they had done it last game, and I guess EPIK, they just decided the heals was what decided that bottom lane, and so now
it worked out pretty good for them. We might as well do it for ourselves.
Yep.
So and here are your teams. Game 2, Reflex versus EPIK. EPIK is running Amumu, Janna, Vladimir, Kassadin, and Graves. Reflex, we got Soraka, Corki, Lee Sin, Rumble, and Tryndamere. This is going to be an interesting one. But I think really what's going to come down to mid lane, I think, is really going to decide it here. I really do.
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of curious how Lee Sin and Tryndamere are going to become involved in this game because we've got lots of mobility, escapes from Kassadin and Vladimir, and then the ultimate from Janna. And that's really going to be devastating. They can both travel through Janna's ultimate, but I don't know, maybe they get split from the team or maybe they can't get the engages that they want. So I'm not really sure how it'll work out. I guess we'll just have to see, but they should have really good dragon control from their team, particularly when compared with EPIK, who's got pretty weak dragon control with the Amumu. And then if they can, push the game to their advantage, then early on, then the Tryndamere and Lee Sin picks could just be devastating.
You know what, actually, I'm going to make a second call on this match. I'm going to say that Reflex is going to buy at least 2 Quicksilver Sashes. I think so. Because it worked out really well for them first game. We have the Amumu AoE ult. We've got, the Kassadin silence.
It's hard to say.
It may happen. I'm making a lot of calls. I'm a gambling man today.
You are a gambling man.
I
see the thing is, it depends on whether or not they're getting caught by Amumu. And Quicksilver Sash just completely shuts down a lot of what Amumu tries to accomplish in a game. But they don't really seem to have that much of a pick-off team as they did in the previous game. They've got kind of more of a team fight-centric team, in which case, I don't know, it should be interesting. The more I'm thinking about it, Corki will probably get a Quicksilver. Tryndamere could get a Quicksilver, almost certainly, actually.
Yeah.
Lee Sin, could get a Quicksilver. It's never a bad decision.
It's never a bad decision. We're kind of gambling, and hey, if you agree or disagree, and remember, if you want to win that mousepad hoodie, tweet at us at IGN Pro League. Who do you think's gonna win? We've made some of our gambles. We hope you're making some calls too. IPL Killing Spree, Reflex versus EPIK, Game 2 coming up in just a minute. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IPL Killing Spree. I'm HatPerson, and with me is a Red Baron. We are in Game 2 now. Reflex versus EPIK. These are your team. Man, look at Corki go on that Earth. I love that skin so much. I'm sorry. I make too many comments on skins. I probably shouldn't.
It's all about the Red Baron.
It's the skin fevers. It's all about the Red Baron Corki. Yeah. Well, and the Baron Vygar, too. I know you were excited last week, too. I know you wanted to see that.
They're manly skins. Baron Vygar, Baron Gragas.
Oh, man. We are getting right into it.
And this
Reflex wants that position. They want to be in that bush. They want to, try and make sure they've already pushed EPIK back just enough in that mid lane. Wait, was this? Is this an ARAM? Is this an ARAM?
I'm not going to dignify that. I'm just kidding.
That'd be hilarious if we did an ARAM.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat, Reflex is going to go ahead and just start edging into EPIK's jungle. They want to try and make something happen to blue, and a Mumu. Oh man,
and
there's a peak.
I don't think there's any question in my mind that Reflex should be looking to prevent this blue. And unfortunately, it would actually be easier if they were on the blue side as opposed to purple, because then they could just come over here and have the bot lane shorter distance. Yeah. But even so, Lee Sin can really jungle any way he wants, and Amumu will be thrown off by not having the early blue, not being able to get as much AoE, and that will slow down his jungle, which will slow down his ganking potential, whereas Lee Sin could potentially take control of this game.
And it really, really hurts a jungler like Amumu, who is so reliant on getting his jungle paths, because he's not that fast as he used to be. So, and any slowdown in the jungle will just hurt him immensely. And Trinidad pokes out, Kassadin knows. Oh, and that, I think it's a little bit too early, but hey, Amumu's out. We're going to go ahead. We're going to steal this blue, and Reflex is going to be ahead. Amumu in the jungle is immediately crippled from the start if they just go ahead and take this blue. And there it is. Lee Sin smites the golem. Amumu is going to be hurting for a very long time. And everyone is now moving into their lane. Tryndamere taking mid? Huh?
I was actually kind of, I don't know, to a degree expecting it, but I guess I like the idea of the rumble.
Yeah.
But Tryndamere with the physical damage, he doesn't really need to worry about. The big thing with Kassadin is his passive it's kind of a built-in magic resist. It gives him some damage reduction there. But Tryndamere has the sustain, and that sustain is just huge versus Kassadin. He's just going to be able to heal all day. He's really just looking to farm. So Kassadin probably not going to be able to get enough damage. So and then if Kassadin tries to farm, then Tryndamere's got the damage output.
So being content with the top lane draw, just as we saw game 1, so I'm not expecting a whole lot of action up there. Bot lane, Corki and Graves going at it. We got some bush play coming in from Soraka and Janna, just staying in, trying to be safe, trying to make sure that their partners are getting their last hits. Amumu going in to Lee Sin's blue over in Reflex the jungle and takes it. See, that's the thing. Now, every time I play jungler, and if I get invaded or if I get something stolen, the first instinct I have is to go into their jungle, because they're content with taking my stuff. They're not going to be defending their own stuff, and that was a good call. Good call by Dan.
It can be pretty aggressive, and if they do expect it coming, then it can really set you behind in the game. But that, a little bit of a risk can just be huge.
Mid. We're going to try and do something here on Kassadin. He's not 6. He cannot blink away. He does have the flash. He gets a kick off. Lee Sin, barely gets away.
Beautiful
good gank. The Ignite can't do it. Lee Sin gets away with just a sliver of health. That's first blood in favor of Reflex. Good on you, Lee Sin.
That Tryndamere, the melee versus the melee with Kassadin, he can just chase him down. And then Lee Sin, that's the big thing, is the patient Q. And a lot of people, they just kind of throw off their Qs early, but he waited until the flash was burned because he knew that they had Kassadin, and then getting it off just before the creeps got there. Really just fantastic play.
Absolutely wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I called. I'm still calling that. I'm still saying it's going to be coming down to mid. I don't know. Well,
it should be pretty interesting. I was kind of curious to see bot. Oh, wow. Just look at that damage onto Graves. The misplay by Janna a little bit, not able to get the shield out fast enough. But the big thing with bot lane, we have Corki does have that Doran's Blade, and Graves having the boots. So the boots will allow Graves to more easily harass Corki and gives him a little bit of regen that he was sorely missing.
Yeah.
So if he could have gotten some damage down onto Corki, then that would have given him an advantage in lane. But we saw very quickly, even though he got him down a little bit, Soraka was just able to replenish him, and now Graves is all out of regen, all out of those health potions, and Corki just has huge dominance now because he has Soraka and he's got the Doran's Blade.
Yep. And Tryndamere is still he's able to push like this so much in mid because they put Amumu so far behind at the start of the game. He can push as much as he wants to know, and he knows that if Amumu were to come around to gank him, if Lee Sin is around, they will still have the level advantage, experience advantage like that. And Lee Sin comes in with a Hadouken right out of the bush and just tries to take Kassadin away. He's still not 6 yet. He cannot blink away just yet. So he wanted to press that advantage as much as they can. He should be 6 any second now.
Even if Amumu is in position to gank Tryndamere,
he's Tryndamere.
This is a really hard gank. I mean,
Amumu it's a really hard gank. And Tryndamere is also very close to 6 as well. Right. So, I mean, if he gets his rage, and it's all going to be for nothing.
But
So-
Amumu's bandage toss is already like an all or nothing thing and very hard to hit. But with
Amumu's
that
on the
Tryndamere
clock,
spin,
and Tryndamere's exposed. He comes in flash.
Oh,
Amumu
wow.
misses. Can't do it. And then Tryndamere's going to get hit 6 any second now, and he's just going to be invincible in mid.
and that silence was just absolutely perfectly
It
timed.
was.
by
It was
Kassadin.
wonderfully timed, but Amumu just could not make it happen with the flash.
They probably could have started a little bit sooner because Amumu definitely was not
Yeah.
ready for it, but
it
unfortunately
was
missing the bandage toss.
Yeah, missed the bandage toss, but it was good. I mean, Tryndamere is kind of, he's being aggressive. He's losing out on his positioning. When you have someone like a Mumu, roaming around looking for ganks, you want to try and cluster yourselves up or have a wall of minions. Whenever you have the opportunity to either side, and I think it also may benefit Tryndamere to also get a ward for one of the bushes.
And already just like dominant play from Reflex in all of the lanes. Tryndamere just kind of doing whatever he wants mid.
Corki's got the 20 creep lead.
Yeah,
20
Corki
creep lead
has
in dot.
20 creep lead, and now Graves is going to have to recall, whereas Corki can just sit there and push down the tower. They could actually get a really early tower on this as long as they're cognizant of the Amumu gank.
Which they have their wards set up. They know. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be safe from Amumu for the time being.
I mean, there's the threat. If Lee Sin,
Lee Sin's just chilling in that bush top lane.
Mhm.
Here's the, he's just waiting for Vlad to make a move.
right?
But Rumble's just doing a convincing job of pushing. I think they may also be trying to bait out Amumu in the coming top lane.
Yeah, I think that might be the key here, but I don't know. The big thing is Lee Sin's wasting a lot of time, and that's really hurting him right now. He is a little bit ahead in this game.
But the longer he stays in that bush, Amumu has opportunities to come back and recover from their early disruption.
I don't really know what his ganking opportunity is that he's looking for. He's just kind of sitting there with no. I mean, Vlad's not going to be chasing Rumble out into the open because that's where Rumble's at an advantage. So I don't know how Lee Sin's expecting to get in on Vlad right now. I was thinking maybe when they're under tower diving some, but that's really risky against Vlad, and they're clearly not going for it.
And any real attempts on Vlad, he's just going to pull. He's just going to get away. Lee Sin's just wasting a lot of time in that bush. He needs to get back to he needs to get back to the jungle. He needs to get back to his routine. And, oh wait, Mumu coming up. Rumble's in that bush. They see a Mumu.
Well, there we go. That's what they were
they
waiting
weren't
for.
Okay, paid off. Lee Sin, come on,
There's the bandage toss.
Oh, Rumble comes out with the ult. Mumu comes in with the ult. Lee Sin, Dragon kicks Mumu away, gets the fireball off, in for the kick. It worked out. I'll be damned.
That's pretty fortunate. It was still pretty good play by Lee Sin. He the dragon kick followed it up with the Q, was able to get that kill.
It was very fortunate for Reflex that Amumu did decide to come up, but all that time in that bush, Lee Sin, I think now is probably even with Amumu because of all the time he spent in that bush, and I really hope he doesn't die to red buff. I really hope he doesn't die to red buff. Don't be doing that. It's kind of bot lane. Corki's actually getting really low from Graves.
Yeah. Well, Graves does have a slight item advantage right now because he did. I'm sorry, Corki recalled it all. I completely off on that part. But I don't know. I guess Corki just hasn't been back in a little bit. But it was kind of interesting. I think it was originally a good decision by Lee Sin to get up there because out of any lane to gank, of course, Amumu would probably be ganking top because Rumble was just playing so aggressively up at this tower. He was just kind of waiting for it.
And also considering game one, how we had essentially a draw lane up top.
Yeah.
So he wants to make as much advantage as he can in that lane. We saw what happened in the first game. It was pretty even. We make presence known, try to get those ganks and try and work it out a little bit, of a favor for EPIK, but Lee Sin was still in that bush, still waiting. So right now we hit the 10-minute mark. It looks like Amumu's gonna be passing off that blue to Kassadin, who loves. And I can tell you, if there's someone out there who loves blue buff, it's Kassadin. He loves blue buff.
It's actually kind of interesting to think now, Amumu is such a mana-hungry jungler, but more than that, he needs cooldown reduction.
Right.
Because without cooldown reduction, his ultimate is just on such a long cooldown, and his bandage toss is on a long cooldown. So Amumu, paired with Kassadin needs the blue, and as a result, Amumu is not really going to, be as involved in the game as he probably could be.
I fear that Amumu may fall off, much like Malphite did the first match, and Tryndamere's just going to go ahead and spin through that bush and catches Kassadin. But he's got his ult up now. He is level 9, so he's going to be going ahead and getting away. Lee Sin's coming in from behind. Cassian goes that offensive ult. Lee Sin's just going to pass the minion wave, get the fireball off. Will he pursue? No, he will not. Rumble and Vlad still duking it out. Top lane, bot lane. Corki is doing some very good pushing action on the back of Earth, the Manatee.
And I'm a little bit surprised we haven't seen some dragon play yet, but it should be coming up shortly.
It should be. The wards are coming down. They're aware.
Right. Lee Sin and Tryndamere can do dragon very easily together, and then just the fact that bot lane has been so successful so far, if they can force bot lane to leave, then that would be an awesome situation for them to go after that dragon.
Mm-hmm.
But they do, I guess, recognize that the dragon turned against them in that last game, and currently they are in a
top
in the
lane
lead.
Rumble. Top lane Rumble just burned the ult to try and get Vlad, and he got it. So they didn't even need any help from Lee Sin. Did not even need it.
I guess if there's the threat of losing the dragon like there was last game, they might as well just play defensively, just let the game carry out as it's been going, since it's been going so well for Reflex. But actually, we have some aggression bot lane, and
Amumu's coming in. She's going in on Corki, trying to get Soraka down as much as he can, but cannot do it. Got those heals, and Tryndamere trying to do something to Cassian. He's got the rage. He had the flash. He will be getting away. That rage edging it out for him, and top lane will fall into Reflex, and they have a very sizable gold lead right now.
Almost 4,000 gold.
Almost 4,000 gold in the favor of Reflex. Man, 0-4. 0-4.
And that they do have a very strong team if they can get ahead. That's the big thing. Tryndamere's, if you can get ahead as a team, then he can be just absolutely devastating. But I don't know. Fortunately, it's just everything's been working out for them, and they've just been playing really impressively. I've just been very surprised by the level of play that we've seen by Reflex.
Yeah, everything's just coming up Reflex in game number 2. Soraka's getting those wards down by Dragon. I think Reflex might be setting up for it just a little bit. So we will see. Yeah, Dragon looks like they're going to be going for that first Dragon 13 minutes in.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard for EPIK to defend this. They're not, they have no idea. That pink ward's been down for quite some time. They've got no vision. Jano walking up. Is Tryndamere going to be able to get over there? He actually misspins into that wall, but still the free Dragon, putting them ahead even more. They're up by over 4K now, and they're actually going to just be coming mid, or actually just splitting up into their own lanes.
Cassian, he's trying to do some free farming, but Tryndamere just spins and is like, nah, I will have none of that. You will not be doing that while I am here, sir.
Yeah, and just looking at this,
Rumble's
huge
spotted
so far.
Rumble has been spotted by EPIK, but they will. They're not going to go ahead and press the issue. Moo is still a little bit behind, and just mid lane. Tryndamere's he's just doing whatever he wants.
Yeah,
he's just doing whatever he wants. He's just attacking the tower, no problem. It's easy.
I think that's the big key. Is it not only is this a huge gold advantage for Team Reflex, but the gold is in the hands of their carries. They've got Corki out to a huge advantage bot lane. Tryndamere just free farming mid lane. I mean, he's gonna
look at this setup. They're trying to get in on Cassian right now. Lee Sin is laying in that bush. Rumble is guarding that lane. Tryndamere spins in through. He caught, and Amumu is in that bush that they warded previously. They're trying to do something. Tryndamere is going to rage. Tryndamere is going to rage. He's going to get away pretty easy. And Lee Sin and Rumble are there to play backup just to make sure that they cannot go ahead and get that kill.
A little bit surprised by that play. I think he kind of wanted his team to be there a little bit sooner than they were.
Yeah, Tryndamere was, he was playing a little bit too aggressive in there.
I mean, I understand he wanted to kind of be tanking the enemy team and allow them to kind of waste their stuff on him so his team could maybe come and clean up, but they were a little bit too far away to really get a good engage. We actually have the bandage toss and then the ultimate from Amumu, able to pick up that kill onto Rumble, so that's just, a beautiful job there.
Huge. And, Lee Sin and Tryndamere are coming back mid. They're getting their defense on. They just want to make sure it's like, okay, you may have gotten that kill, but you are not getting this tower. And Reflex is still in the lead by a very fair margin.
Yeah,
15 minutes in.
Bot lane very close to going down as well.
With that ward in the river, they know they're coming, so Corki and Soraka know to back off. But Cassian, he's in that bush.
And they should have seen the
they
effect
are trapped.
There, so they know they're
They are
over
trapped.
Here.
Let's see if Reflex tries to make anything of this situation. Tryndamere is in. He's getting in position.
For Epic, though.
A Mumu ult is down. You're not going to be able to do much about this. Tryndamere. Oof. The rage just now comes back. I don't think Tryndamere was expecting
I think it might have been up, but just the silence into the bandage toss.
The ult was down.
Really?
Ult was down when he died. Just came back up like a second right afterwards. It was too late. I could tell he's jamming on that R.
Yeah. So a little bit careless there, but good play by Epic, knowing that they've kind of been, I don't know, really far behind so far, grouping up to take that blue. Not really, the most important for Reflex to hold on to the blue, but still being able to refresh their own team. And they are really out of position here.
Lee Sin and Rumble need to get away quick. The ult from Vlad is going off on both of them, and Lee Sin doesn't look good. Rumble's now just trying to get away. He's got that shield. They're not going to go ahead and press it. I think they're just going to be content with trying to push on that tower if they can. But Corki, bot lane, takes down that tower. Nice and easy. So we are about 17 minutes in. Reflex's gold lead still pretty high, about 3K. And Cassie and Tryndamere still just trying to duke it out as best they can.
Oh, wow, Tryndamere.
Tryndamere, that's what he does. He gets those crits all day, every day. And Corki has gone back. He's got his Trinity Force. Good item, as always.
Vlad's pretty excited for this right now. I would be.
Oh yeah, that wave has Vlad's name all over it. It's like delicious minions.
And that Trinity Force, definitely a good decision by Corki. I mean, you kind of can always talk about the versatility of Corki. Sometimes you'll see heavy AD stacking, but this game, because they already have lots of physical damage, he's going to be kind of more of a burst DPS. So that's what the Trinity Force will help him out with. But we do see, Tryndamere is working towards that Bloodthirster. He already has a Phantom Dancer, so he's doing pretty well for himself. Graves, in the meantime, he should have some gold saved up. Actually, he's all out of gold. So he's a little bit behind in this game, not really going to be able to contribute as much as he potentially could. But still, Bloodthirster, because his abilities do scale off of that attack damage, the Bloodthirster is going to help him out.
Tryndamere's pulling up the rear. He's leading everyone to their doom in their one bush. Rumble gets the ult. Doesn't really get anybody, but Amumu has been separated from the rest of Epic. And Lee Sin is trying to press that issue. But we're going to get in on Cassin. Cassin ults away. Janna has to ult. She has no choice but to ult to get the rest of the team off her. And Cassin is going around. He tries to get the... Lee Sin gets the Q off before Cassin can really do anything. Even if you blink away, even if you flash away.
Tryndamere comes in. And he is chasing people down.
Oh, Janna gets off that heal. She gets away. I don't think Tryndamere was expecting anyone in that bush. I mean,
he was chasing them down. He was expecting someone.
They couldn't possibly be in that bush. Oh, hi. But not if you flash away or if you blink away while Lee Sin has Q'd you, you can still follow up no matter where you go and get that second hit.
But we did see a good disengage from Epic. The Janna ultimate just able to really save a lot of their team. I don't know. So they didn't get a kill. It definitely wasn't a one fight, but it could have been a lot worse than it was.
And they did a fantastic job of just isolating and moving from the rest of the fight. He got a little overzealous.
Oh, Vlad taking all that damage.
Rumble is getting caught in that ult from Mumu. It is now up in the Vlad ult will finish it off. Tryndamere trying to get away. Corki is exhausted. Not going to be doing too much damage right now. Lee Sin also has to flash away. Corki gets away. He's ignited, but that will finish him off. Oh, Janna trying to, gets in that little tornado, trying to pop people up.
And that's a free dragon.
And Epic's going to back off and get that. They're going to opt not. Let's not push his towers. Go ahead. Let's get our free dragon with purchase of 2 teammates from Reflex. Janna just throwing off those tornadoes, trying to keep Reflex at bay. I would not be sticking around if I was Reflex. I would just back off and let them take it. I wouldn't want anyone else on their team to die right now because they still have a sizable lead despite giving them that dragon.
Yeah, and Epic just has a ton of ways that they can disengage these fights. So that last game, the entire game, what we saw was, once Epic kind of started the fights, they just had to go to their conclusion. They had no way to kind of escape. And this game, that's kind of what they're all about. They're surviving the burst damage of Reflex, which they showed last game how well they could play that kind of burst damage.
However, they still only have 1 initiation.
They do.
And look at that. 1 Quicksilver Sash already on Rumble on Reflex side. That's halfway. That's halfway to my call.
I'm a little bit surprised to see it on Rumble, but at the same time, you know, he's been the one who's been getting picked off so far here, whereas everyone else is just, you know, I don't know, they have their own escape. So Rumble doesn't really have an escape. So, you know, that does help him out some. But even so, he probably could be getting some more damage for his team since they really don't have much magic damage. Here we have the Bandage Toss onto Lee Sin, not really going to accomplish a lot. And Tryndamere is going to be following it up.
Get the chicken off on Amumu and Kassadin. They're not going to be really pressing that. They're just going to let them get away.
I would be really concerned right now if I was Reflex, knowing that Rumble has to go with these defensive items in order to survive, because once we get some armor on EPIK, you know, we've got physical damage, physical damage, physical damage, and then Rumble, you know, not really building a ton of damage right now. So there's going to be a point in the game where once they get a little bit of survivability, they will potentially be able to, you know, kite out the damage from Reflex and then just win those fights.
Lee Sin right now going ahead and take EPIK's blue. Rumble's just going ahead and fend off the rest of EPIK to try and keep them away from their own jungle. They've taken their blue, mission accomplished, and they are leaving those two creeps like a jerk. Because those buffs do not respawn if there's at least one minion still there. So whenever you go in and try, you know, if you're trying to steal buffs, always.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Graves just barely, you know, not getting hit by that Q there. That would have been devastating.
That would have been hilarious.
I'm sorry, we actually have an engage on mid. The Amumu ult followed by the Janna ult is going to pull them out, but then they're chasing under this tower for for Vlad, almost going down, but he is able to get out of there.
And the Janna ult was actually pushing away Tryndamere. I feel they could have just, you know, pressed in on Tryndamere and focused him, but I think she just pushed him too far away.
And Amumu is still coming up here trying to get an engage. I'm not sure why, because
His ult
I
is down.
definitely think that Reflex is in a much stronger situation right now. They do have the Soraka to heal them and sustain them through those fights. Amumu, you know, almost going down. Vlad almost down, though Vlad shouldn't really be that much of a concern for them right now.
No, not at this juncture.
They,
no,
you know,
sir.
Cass doesn't have any mana. Like, this isn't where they want to be engaging. So they are going to back out now.
Yep.
This is probably going to be a free tower for Reflex, or, you know, pretty close to it.
Yep, two members of EPIK have decided to back to the shop, so Reflex just converging in on mid, taking the second tower for Frey, and they will now back off, seeing as everyone is now back in the fray. Kassadin has bought himself a Rod of Ages and a Tear.
And Kassadin just spamming out all that mana, coming all the way from the fountain, trying to see if he could get a slow on anyone. Not really going to happen.
Nothing doing.
But, you know, once again,
missed
Kassadin's all out of
bandage from
mana,
Amumu.
and, you know, Corki almost going down there. If we had the bandage from Amumu, that would have been just absolutely devastating for Reflex. And they're actually chasing them down.
We got the chickens.
With Lee Sin and Rumble. Lee Sin jumping into the middle of the enemy team. Amumu taken down by his team,
Amumu,
separated. And there's Vlad going down. People low for Reflex, but there's no way that EPIK's going to be able to do any damage, and they're just chasing them down now.
Off.
And the delayed ultimate from Rumble, able to pick up the Janna kill, and then Tryndamere not able to get the ultimate off once again.
Yeah.
But this could potentially be a Baron.
I think this is a Baron. I'm pretty sure this is a Baron. But, you know, Tryndamere, he may not have gotten off that ult, but he had those two clutch chickens. Chickens everywhere. He got them. Those were the slows they needed to do what they needed to do. Baron being taken down right now by Reflex. They will take this convincingly, and I think Tryndamere might actually respawn in time to catch the buff. If anything,
he's
and
just barely going to miss it. He's going to be.
Oh, I don't know. I think.
But they do have to watch out about Kassadin and Graves
they are
here
coming in. They are engaging it. They take down the Baron. Tryndamere now respawns. He will not have Baron buff because he was down. Graves getting picked off by Corki, and Kassadin getting caught, but he does decide to blink out of the way, and Amumu walking in.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Amumu, what are you doing? Amumu, what are you
really
doing?
Might have sealed the deal. I mean, it's still a really close game, but that game, you know, right before that fight, I don't know. It looked like it could really go any way, and now just with the damage that Reflex has, I don't know if EPIK can hold out long enough to get some armor. And here we have Tryndamere chasing after Kassadin. Kassadin was all out of mana basically, so he's got one blink out. So it is going to be enough, but Janna has to use the ultimate too, and you know it's. Reflex just in such a strong position right now.
Yep. You cannot be doing that many blinks while you're playing Kassadin. If you keep on doing his ult, after again and again and again without waiting for his secondary cooldown to come down, that mana cost to do it keeps going up and up and up. And even if you have a tier, you will still find yourself very short on mana very quickly. And that will happen to you.
Now, Amumu's ult is up, so he will have that damage available to him. They will have, you know, all of their AoE. If they can get the right engage under the tower, it actually probably would have been good if Kassadin was up there for them to just ultimate under this tower, because Amumu would just, on his own, clear out all of those minions, and they would start taking tower damage. But the concern then is that Reflex is just going to disengage, and you're once again just blowing all your ultimates. So with the only disable being Amumu, really, if they're not able to pick up a kill with Amumu, then that fight's going to go against them.
Yeah, Amumu needs to land the bandage ult for a proper initiation for Epic to have any chance in any team fight for the rest of this game. So right now,
I don't know where they're going to go. I mean,
yeah,
they've
got a lot of
the
places
frozen
to go.
heart. They've got the frozen heart from Amumu. That was definitely a good decision. It's going to help his team out, you know, a ton by slowing the attack speeds of the enemy. You know, Vlad, he probably needs to be going for like a Zhonya's and just be a little bit more aggressive probably. You know, he's doing fine for survivability right now with that pool. He's, you know, playing it perfectly, to be honest, right now. But they really need to get some damage output and be able to focus people down, and they haven't been able to do it so far. Everyone's just kind of kiting in and out for Reflex while continually pressuring Epic.
Yep, it's looking really grim right now for Epic. Reflex is just going ahead and just taking every advantage they can, winning up those team fights. So, you know, isolating Amumu, taking him out, it's pretty close to a done deal. They're going to go ahead and take this tower.
They're actually just going to go right up.
They're just going to go right in. They're just going to go right in.
They want Epic to engage.
They want to force out the Amumu ult. They're waiting for the Amumu ult. There it is. Quicksilver Sash going off on Rumble.
Corky's actually going to go down from the Vladimir ultimate there. And Lee Sin chasing after this Kassadin, but then Kassadin turning it right back on. And this is huge for
Rumble.
Epic.
Rumble, can you do it?
Vladimir going down, but Rumble is going to go down as well. And that is going to be an ace for Epic. Wow, Rumble just barely able to get Amumu.
That was the money Amumu ult. It caught everyone. And even though Rumble used the Sash, it still wasn't quite enough to get the, you know, that last second damage they needed. Lee Sin now just buys a Sash of his own, so there's number 2.
Yeah, I think the big key though is where's Corky's Sash? There, he finally gets the Negatron cloak.
Yeah.
But the first time of the game, I think Corky, you know, probably held off on it because he wasn't feeling pressured at all this game.
Right.
But the first time we're able to get a Mumu ult, like you said, on everyone on the team, and Corky was caught, and Corky went down without dealing any damage in that fight. And to just lose your DPS carry so early in the fight, that's just massive. So he needs to get that Quicksilver Sash, needs to be able to disengage for himself and not go down in that AoE, and then that's probably a one fight.
Yeah, and no, don't get me wrong, Reflex still has a very commanding lead of this game in terms of gold, in terms of towers, in terms of most metrics. But they still need to exercise some level of caution, because if they get caught out in another team fight like that again...
They are coming after this blue, though, and
Lee
Sin,
Sin,
can he get the Q?
Oh,
wow, just barely missing it.
But
the critical with the Ignite is going to be enough to take down Kassadin, and there he goes. That's terrible. I mean, that really hurts for Epic right now.
Kassadin was really low trying to get that blue buff. I'm not even sure why he's still even there.
I mean, the fact of the matter is he needs blue buff.
Yeah.
You know, he's spamming out all of his abilities, and in the meantime, you know, we've got a split push here, and Epic or Reflex are actually going to be transitioning towards this mid lane. They do have a 4v5 advantage.
Tower is almost gone, and
advantage toss going off. Not really going to do anything. And the dragon kick. They are going to be able to take down this Amumu, and then just, you know, disengage. Get those Soraka heals, just regroup, and now it's a 5v3. It'll be a 5v4 in a second, but even so, they can just slowly push
They just run in. Tryndamere can just whack that tower twice and it's gone.
Corky's taking a ton of damage from this tower, though. If there was a point to engage, it'd be now.
Just touch the tower, just touch it.
Though they do probably just want to allow Reflex to back up. See if you can pick anyone off.
I think Tryndamere just stayed just a beat still, just to see if he could try to bait anything out from Epic to see if they can get another engagement. But Rumble goes ahead and he's just fending everyone off, and Reflex will go ahead and just take the fence out of their tower.
A really smart decision by Epic here. They know that Reflex is very low, probably going to have to recall. So while they're waiting for Amumu, they can just push down this tower, and it's going to be very difficult for Reflex to engage here.
Not to mention that if they can manage to keep this position for a sizable amount of time, they'll also be in an advantageous situation when Baron respawns, but they're going to go ahead and back off just a little bit. Now they're going to go ahead and start to scatter. Moon's going to go ahead and take care of bottom lane just for a tad. Oh, it's a delicious wave. Oh, that's so yummy. I love minions. Freshly cooked, deep-fried minions. So much golden experience. It's good for the body. It's good for the soul. Very nutritious, low in fat. I have no idea where I'm going with this.
I'm just going to allow it. I'll go with the flow here.
Let's get the nutrition info on a minion. It's like, like calories,
it's
300
my entertainment
gold
for the day. I get to watch LOL and
to hear me ramble.
And hear you ramble, I guess.
I have a tendency to ramble. I apologize, but I try to make it as entertaining as I can.
Perfect.
31 minutes into the game. Reflex, they did lose that last huge team fight, but they're still up in gold, still up in kills, still up in towers.
And we still don't see any armor on Team Epic, and that's
nothing.
That's a little bit surprising.
All they have is a frozen heart, really.
As long as they can play it right, it can be okay, because they've really been lacking a lot of damage in a lot of these fights. They haven't had the ability to focus people down. So that new damage, that will help them with focusing people down. But at the same time, armor would just go such a long way for someone like Vlad. If you just buy a chain vest with all of his health, so he can just sit up in the middle of the team and sustain.
Tryndamere's out of position just for a tad when Epic is trying to make their push in mid. And dude, look at Reflex's items. 4 sashes. That is double my estimate. That is double.
I hesitated for a second, but it was definitely a good call. And Soraka, some good play there. They were a little bit split. They recognized that, so she just threw off that Shirelia's, not wanting like a flash bandage toss potentially from a Mumu.
Like I'm tempted to just can we just rename Reflex? They have all these headbands. I want to rename them to like Team Solid Snake. I really do. They all have their matching bandanas. Potential unlimited
ammo. Is it a
ammo.
headband, or is it a sash, like more of a scarf kind of thing?
Whatever. It's doing the job.
Well, I'll allow it.
Oh man, we're hitting the 33-minute mark. Baron has respawned. Reflex is in position to start making an attempt on it, but it has been warded very nicely by both teams. So if they do make an attempt, unless they can clear it, Epic will know. But I'm pretty sure Soraka has that. Soraka does not have an Oracles.
Once again here, let's take a look at this farm. And Corki just dominating Graves in the farm category.
Yep.
Vlad doing very well for himself, actually, and he has pulled, far ahead.
Well,
so he is going to be carrying
Epic
a lot.
has an inkling that Reflex is going for Dragon, so they're going ahead and make that move towards Baron. The ward will see them. Reflex knows it is time to converge. We're forcing Baron fight number 2. Oh.
Yeah, and they don't really have the damage output to take a fast Baron.
No, they do not.
They can sustain fairly well, but if Reflex gets a good engage on them at this Baron, that would be game over. Like, they would be able to push down, one inhibitor, get some other towers, and once they have one inhibitor down, there's the tower. Actually, Tryndamere just walking up and backdooring it.
They're trying to get them out of position. They're trying to get them to retreat, and they did.
And they are kind of out of position, but
forces the ult.
Tryndamere's not with his team. He's kind of playing catch-up here. Same with Rumble, and Amumu just chasing after the team.
He's waiting for that
ultimate.
Doesn't do a whole lot. Vladimir up front, exhausted. He's getting focused. Can we bring him down really quick? Yeah, we can.
There he goes. And this is just devastating for Epic. This is probably going to be game here if they continue pushing this down. Kassadin flashing away, but there he goes as well. Janna's going to go down. There's no way she's going to be able to escape from this Tryndamere.
With that sash, Janna is just going to, one chop, 2 chops, 1 spin. Exhaust coming in from Janna. Good call.
Tryndamere still has his ultimate.
He still has his ult.
That's going to be a kill.
It's fine. He's good. He's got his ult. It's okay.
I'm a little bit surprised. They probably could have taken an inhibitor and then actually taken this Nexus here, but I guess just being a little conservative, they are going to be able to
Rumble's going to go ahead.
Inhibitor.
Rumble's going to take the inhib. The rest of Reflex is going to get Baron, provided Tryndamere doesn't die at it. This is getting pretty low.
And the Baron buff, already winning the fight is going to be huge.
Yeah.
But, Rumble's got to watch out that he's going to be able to get out of here. They don't really have the slow to chase him down, but there's the bandage toss from Amumu. A Rumble had turned back into him, and they're able to pick up the kill. Rumble just sticking around a little bit too long. He could have just run to his team and probably been fine.
Soraka did respawn in time, so she will also have the buff. But Rumble, he tried to take out that inhibitor. He kind of got caught, and they sacrificed him. They sacrificed the Yordle for the Baron.
But now, after that last fight, I really don't know where Epic's going to go. I mean, they don't have enough damage output. They don't have enough survivability. and Reflex is just absolutely fed. Like, they have just so much damage, so much carry potential. The previous fight that EPIK was able to win, that was before all these Quicksilver sashes came out, and that was the big key with that fight, was that they were able to pick up the Corki kill. They were able to pick up Rumble very quickly before they were able to really accomplish anything in that fight. But now that's not really an option. So where do they go from here? They try and stall, but the fact of the matter is, Reflex is just going to take this blue, so Cassidy can't take it. Well, there you go. And then push down
Reflex
this inhibitor.
They're just going to take everything.
They're going to take everything.
They're going to take everything. They're going to take the wolves. They're going to take the towers. They're just in such a huge advantage right now at this point in the game. Rumble's respawned. He's making his way back. They can push any lane they please. Tryndamere ult is up. He can tank like a champ. They should just just waltz right down mid lane, take the inhibitor, and just keep going and push for the win. That's what I would do if I was Reflex. It looks like they're going to be doing something else.
Yeah,
they're just going to go right back.
Reflex, what is EPIK going to be doing? I don't know why they're not pushing down this inhibitor. I guess they're waiting for Tryndamere to get the red, and that's fine.
That's fine. That's
Red's
good.
a good decision.
Red is always good.
I don't know. Amumu, not the very good damage output. Kassadin has good burst, but as far as sustains damage is concerned, not the best. Vlad is perfect for sustain. Graves is perfect for sustain, but they kind of have a low damage team, and unfortunately, because they are so far behind, that's just not going to work out for them. The fact that they don't have enough disables in order to focus fire.
I'm looking for that Amumu bandage ult if we're going to be seeing that at all. That would not be the opportunity to do it. You can bandage through the wall, but I would not recommend it right now.
Yeah, so they're just going to take this advantage. I mean, with that inhibitor down, it's really going to be almost impossible for EPIK to come back, because Reflex is already winning the fight, so they can just casually push down this bottom lane.
This is a last-ditch effort, I think, on the side of EPIK. They are all camping in that one tiny bush. They know they're present in bot lane. They know they're going to push it. They know they want this tower. Vlad is outside of the bush, being tasty and delicious, trying to get them to bait. He's being very good bait right now, but
Amumu ruining it.
What are you doing?
Jumping in, actually taking a lot of damage, and then the bandage toss.
In.
But you don't want to be dealing your damage to Lee Sin here. You really need to get Corki, so they do back off. So that actually did work out pretty well for them. But the issue is Soraka can just out-sustain anything EPIK wants to do. So if they wait too long and don't get the fight that they want, then Soraka just wins by default, by that war of attrition.
The two best words of the English language. Default. Default.
The two best words?
You ever watch The Simpsons?
No, I didn't see that one.
It was the NASA episode.
Well, I'll allow it then if it's the NASA episode.
38.5 minutes.
Start pulling off some Futurama stuff, and I'll have it.
I will absolutely pull off some Futurama stuff when I can properly apply it.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I've watched way more Simpsons than I have Futurama, unfortunately. Not to say I haven't watched plenty of Tryndamere. He's got his ult up. He's going to start taking a few hits from that tower. It's going to go down nice and easy. That Baron buff, though, shouldn't... how much time we got left on that Baron buff?
It's just about done. It's actually going to, any second now, going to
there it is.
Off,
there we go. There we go. Called it.
But even so, we still have about 2 or 3 minutes left on this inhibitor, and during that time, they can push a huge advantage.
Yep.
Though it does seem like they'll probably push the advantage some, but probably wait until the next Baron comes up in order to maybe finish this game.
Yeah, Reflex is just
so
dominant right now.
In that time, it will give EPIK some time to try and figure out where they're going. But I don't see the damage output. I don't know. I don't see it right now.
Yeah, and like I said, same thing as first game. You only really have one big initiation from this time from the Lulu, and it's just not.
Who would have been great this game is Jax. I mean,
yeah, Jax would have been amazing.
We've got the all physical damage team. Just throw Jax in there as the counter DPS.
I will take any and every opportunity to play Jax, even if it's for no real good reason. Jax would have been great for EPIK. Counters Tryndamere, does wonderful against Corki, does great against Lee Sin.
I'm very surprised that EPIK didn't take Rise. I mean, Reflex didn't take Rise, so that that was fortunate for them. But Rise is just such a strong champion, and then the spammable snare, that would have been huge. I mean, he's got great sustained damage, which is what EPIK is sorely missing right now. He's got a spammable disable. Again, they're missing a spammable disable. I don't know. It seemed like it would have worked out for me, and I don't know. We'll have to see if there's any potential for this. I really think this game is just far beyond their grasp.
Yeah, it's Reflex now is just slowly pushing down every tower. They already had their one inhib, which will be coming back relatively soon. Top lane, massive minion wave.
Yeah, and that's
taking down that tower.
That's going to be able to take down that tower.
It's going to take off a huge chunk. We got the minion wave coming down bot. Reflex is going to go. They're just going to stand right outside that gate. But yeah, Jax would have been a great pick for Epic. Who else? Who else would have been great? I think.
I mean, they kind of had to change up their team comp, and they don't have many disables, and that's usually a big issue. Is if you can't focus fire people down because you don't have disables. Well, they don't have that. They don't have a lot of damage for a double caster team, which is a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
Considering the Soraka pick for Reflex is just completely sustaining him through these fights. So I don't know. I think they need to change up a lot. We have the flash in and the ultimate from Amumu, getting pretty close to taking a couple people down, and right now they're wasting all of their damage onto Amumu. Soraka does go down. Vlad is able to get in there, but Vlad, the ultimate, actually taking down everyone pretty low. If they can chase after them, Lee Sin's so close to going down. If Graves can just get up in there, I'm a little bit surprised, he couldn't have played a little bit more aggressively there because he still had his flash.
Wow, that Cassidy coming in with the ultimate, and Lee Sin just like on sheer reflex, just shields right over to Rumble. Wow,
but there's that minion wave took one tower, almost took a second tower.
Minions
in
OP.
the meantime.
Minions so OP. I can't wait. When we looked at that tower, that thing was like nearly full, and now we're already back to another tower. Those minions too strong.
And that's the issue is, once that inhibitor was down, they could just sit down bottom. And now Baron's back up again,
Baron.
which is, they're going to have strong control of Baron. This is going to be...
Tryndamere, can he solo it?
I don't know. It's going to be pretty hard to see whether or not Epic can get a good engage in them at Baron.
No wards.
But they are waiting for Amumu to come up.
Epic has no wards, even remotely. Okay, now they have one. Kind of got, they got that little bush covered. They have nothing on Baron to confirm or deny whether or not they're doing it.
The big
Reflex
issue,
is setting up for it.
The big issue for Epic with this Baron, a lot, they do have good AoE, so they can just trap the entire team in that AoE. That is going to help Epic out a lot, and Reflex is going to have to be watchful of that. However, Epic, we saw that last fight, they need to be able to disengage from Lee Sin and Tryndamere. Well, this is a long path, to disengage. Like, it's going to be very difficult for them to outrun them. So, it'll be interesting to see. They're actually not in position at all, and we have great ward coverage. Actually,
all the way down.
All the
way down. Every direct
even so, no play by Epic whatsoever. They're just going to sit back and farm, and I guess that's that's a good decision. But letting them have that Baron buff again for free,
that might be it.
It's going to be really hard for them to sustain against them, especially if they try and do a long sustain.
We actually have
the flash from Tryndamere with the slow. He's chasing them down, and they're actually going to turn onto Vlad. Vlad running through the middle of this team. Everyone's split up right now, and Rumble throwing off his ultimate, able to pick up that Vlad. There's the Amumu. Tryndamere was running through their team, dealing a ton of damage to Graves down there, and then just backing out. So 2-for-0 engage from Reflex.
This is going to be
GG.
This is GG any second right now. They're just going to go ahead and wait for those minions to take
I just
that
have
tower.
to say, I am just thrilled to death seeing the Rumble play. I love Rumble so much. He's almost never played, and he's just such a strong champion. But really, the winners of this game, the superstars for Reflex, we have to take a look at the jungler. Lee Sin did a really effective job this game, and then as Trundle in the last game, bot lane completely dominated both games by Arcanine.
Look at that creep. Look at those creep scores, man. Corki up 120 on Graves. And even that Graves actually never died this game. And even then to still be that far behind in creeps, man.
But really great team play by Reflex. And I mean, that's what you were talking about, how just committed they are as a team, how much work they've put in. And I don't know, it was impressive. Yep. They were much more coordinated than Epic. A lot of times you hear about Epic, and it's not really the best stuff. It's that they're not practicing, as much as they probably could, considering how top tier of a team they've been. I mean, they've done so well in so many tournaments, and just match up against everybody. But I don't know. We didn't really see it that much this game. I mean, we did see a lot of impressive play by Reflex, so it is hard to judge.
Reflex is absolutely one of the top tier teams right now in NA. Anyone who says different, watch this match. That's all I have to say. If you think that Reflex cannot compete on the top level, watch this match.
And thinking of the matchup we have next week with Reflex versus Curse is just like, it's giving me chills.
Oh man, I was like they can't get back on the plane home soon enough, man.
I mean, Curse, I don't know, they were just dominant in 2 of those games, and we saw a lot of aggressive play from Curse. Well, guess what? We saw a lot of aggressive play from Reflex too. But it's also to a degree differing styles. Reflex has been very patient, taking what they can get and just allowing the game to progress. So we're seeing, pretty late games, but I don't know, 2 really top teams that really proved it, week after week. So just to see the 2 of them go, it'll be really fascinating.
We're edging in here on the final push.
Yeah,
we're gonna see one Amumu ult. There it is. Everyone's gonna clear it. And Leeson does go down. Here comes the Rumble ult. Vlad, he's going to pull away.
This has actually been pretty good for EPIK until Cass goes down, and that's going to be it, because now they've got all these creeps coming down,
and that will
they
be
can't
the
push into
GG.
them.
They're pushing to the Nexus. All those super creeps. Amumu Ignite goes down at the fountain. The Nexus will go down, and that is GG. Reflex Gaming and is your winner.
I was just thinking, our South by Southwest, the polls, isn't EPIK like just dominating the polls? Like these are, I mean, these are fan favorites. These are really just top players, and they're just really, I don't know, they were overwhelmed by Reflex. I feel like I don't think they expected Reflex to come into that game just as strong as they did, as powerful play.
Wonderful showing here today by Reflex. Always a good show. I love watching these guys play.
Yeah,
it's wonderful to see some new blood infused into that top tier League of Legends play. But I still think, and get this, even Soraka got in on that headband action. Everyone had one, and they also decided to put in a nice little wave.
Not to. I mean,
we have a nice little wave for him made by the.
But I mean, like the only thing that was stopping Reflex from just controlling that game the entire time was the Amumu ult, and that was the only disable that EPIK had, and that's just, I don't know, it can't be understated.
No, it cannot be. And Rumble had a fantastic showing.
Yeah,
Rumble had a fantastic showing both games. I also have to give credit the bot AD. First it was look at those creep advantages. Both games. Sivert, Corky, doesn't matter. My God. Wow. Love watching these guys play. And so we had like 3 Barons. Back to back. I cannot believe my eyes.
It was actually, I guess, really careful, cautious play by Reflex. I mean, they saw their advantages, and they just slowly pushed the entire game. They were very aggressive in the beginning to try and, obtain that advantage. But once they kind of had it, they were just very comfortable sitting back and allowing the game to unfold. Yeah,
I mean, EPIK, I think, both games were really trying to just end it early. Let's get the early game push. We can, work to our advantages and just try and beat them before it ever goes to mid to late game. Didn't quite happen.
And both games we saw, all of their initiation was basically put on their jungler. It was put on Dinh, and I mean, he got some good ultimates, but they didn't really have much to follow up with it. So I don't know. Usually you see much more sustained damage from your jungler. You see much more like late game DPS. And that's kind of the norm, and that's the difficulty with running an initiation jungler. Is the fact that, hey, once it's done and then coming into late game, what do? Amumu just stands there in fights.
Yeah. So
that's all he can do.
Both games is just, the sole role, the one role of the jungler. Both games on EPIK was you are the initiator, you are an ultimate, and that was it. That was it. Both games. And it's unfortunate. It really is. I mean, granted, the better of the 2 ults is clearly the Amumu ult. Because it still managed to get them a team fight later on in the game, but still, what are you going to do? And even then, that early game invade, the early invade on a Mumu in game 2, paid out in dividends because it allowed Tryndamere to push as much as he wanted in mid lane without really any threat. He was able to get his 6, so that way he was just invincible.
Well, I mean, there you have it. I mean, congratulations to Reflex.
Yes.
Taking the series, so they'll get the $300, and then they'll be able to play against Curse
next week.
Whoever wins will have a 2-win killing spree. So just working one more game until getting that killing spree.
So right now we have an interview.
Yeah.
With 2 people from Team Reflex. If you guys would not mind, if you guys would like to introduce yourselves for everybody.
Okay, I'm Lautemortis. I jungle for Reflex.
And I'm Reaper. I'm the manager of Team Reflex.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight after a fantastic series. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Epic's a really good team, and we were extremely excited to beat them.
So and right off the bat, we have to resolve a bet.
We do have to resolve a bet here.
Did you random Trundle?
Yeah.
$5. $5.
No way.
$5.
There's no way he random Trundle. All right, so go through your thought set because
definitely random.
Go through your thought set here because in my mind Trundle was actually a really strong pick because he works very well with the kite team, which is kind of what you had. You had a single target kind of initiation along with the a little bit of a kite and just kind of trying to push the game a little bit later. So who were you thinking about picking? Like if you were to pick normally. And then kind of what was your thought once if you did random Trundle, what was your thought once Trundle came on the board and you were like, okay, how am I going to deal with this?
Well, I actually played Trundle quite a bit, so I wasn't actually a big detriment to get him. And he does work really good against AoE comps. And they had a Malphite, so it worked really well with that too, because I could just steal all his armor and magic resist and make him essentially not very tanky. Mm-hmm. So it was a really good pick that the LoL gods gave us. I would have preferred Maokai even after the effectiveness that Trundle gave us, just because Maokai is really good against AoE comps, and that's what they kept running against us. Mm-hmm. But definitely Trundle was not in any way detrimental to our team comp and was probably a pretty good pick. So that's just luck, I guess.
Hey, random gets there, man. Random gets there sometimes.
I still don't believe it. It's all a lie. HatPerson talked to you before the interview, and it's all a lie.
Well, when the thought process on getting the random, we decided we wanted Rise for sure within the first 40 seconds of our team select, and then we were trying to decide what support we wanted, and we never decided which of the 2 of us was going to pick Rise and which of us was going to pick the support. So then with 2 seconds left, we decided Taric, and then we both typed Taric in, and then I tried to type Rise, and I almost got it, but I didn't quite. So instead of doing the smart thing, which would be picking a random person, picking someone I knew I could play with 1 second left, I was like, okay, can't do anything about it, and we just got pretty fortunate.
So wait, are you saying Trundle was picked just 1 second left? You kind of
No,
but
it
you
was
did
random.
type it
It was
in.
random. It was random.
Oh, okay.
It was random.
Never
You owe me
mind.
$5.
Picked a champion I knew I could play with 1 second left, so I wouldn't get an Eve or something completely useless.
Right, but so you did pick Trundle.
No.
No.
That would have been smart if I would have done.
Oh, I thought you said you typed it in just. Never mind. Well, carrying on. So basically, I guess tell us about your team some. I know some of you guys came from Unrestricted. I don't really know a whole lot about you guys. I don't know. You're basically an up and comer, but I guess just give us a quick run through.
Okay. We've been a team for about a month and a half to 2 months. We went to MLG Providence, which was our first major showcase. We did pretty well there, but we didn't end up getting any higher than 4th. Recently, we've made our old mid player, Red Flubber, into an alternate because he's had some real-life altercations. So we've been running Valkrin mid, who's a former UNR player, and we've been doing really well with him. So we feel confident. The core of us have been around playing together for 2 years or something like that. Not 2 years, a year, I guess. So we know most of each other really well, and we all get along great.
Cool.
That's pretty much Reflex from
So, from what I understand, there's also another branch, another group of guys are under the same sort of management umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Team
I'll,
Dark Horse,
I'll,
but
I'll answer that since that's kind of my deal. Yeah, I've created another team. It's called Dark Horse. It's actually really good for Reflex as well because as a team, like we have a lot of trouble setting up scrims with other teams and whatnot, and getting in a lot of practice. So having two teams under the same management allows us to kind of run scrims as much as we want against another team that we know is decent, and we're not just playing random guys. So, but they're pretty good also. All their guys are top solo queue as well. Their elos range, from 2,000 to 2,200. Really good guys. Some guys from former TBM and other teams though. But yeah, they're just starting out. We're just starting to practice, and they'll be coming soon. But yeah, they're kind of like a brother team to Reflex.
Nice. So, and everyone is playing friendly so far. Is there nice camaraderie between the two?
yeah, they're really good competition. I mean, they're just up and coming where we were, a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we know a lot of the struggles they go through and team fighting and things, trying to figure out what to do. But they put up a challenge, and I know as they get more, congruent together, they're gonna be an excellent practice partner for us.
You have the Rumble pick both games that was. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Rumble both.
Yeah,
games.
that was pretty exciting to see. But I think probably the game winners were probably I guess yourself in the jungle as Lee Sin, and then also Corky down bottom. Do you want to go through the mind? Do you know much that you might tell us about Arc Knight in bottom and how they really did as a team or as a lane?
Yeah, well, our first game, Arc Knight carried us really hardly. He went 8-0 with Sivir or something along those lines.
Yep.
And our second game, they had a lot of AoE. And so we knew if we put someone in that had a jump or, a small flash move to get away, we'd be a lot easier to keep the AD carry alive. So we don't feel like Ezreal's that strong of a pick. So we were really limited to picking between Tristana and Corky after Graves got taken. And we know Arc Knight feels a lot more comfortable playing Corky, so we went with the Corky pick. He has a lot of good AoE to counter their AoE since they're going to be grouped as they cast their spells. And he's just able to get out and kite them outside of their ultimate spam. So that's basically why we picked that. And then we picked Lee Sin jungle because they went for an AoE comp and they had an Mumu jungle. Mm-hmm. So we knew if we picked a strong early game jungler, we would be able to control basically their blue buff all game long. And if you keep Kassadin away from blue buff, he's going to have a really hard time snowballing. So we basically just picked our jungle for early lane control, and then we put the rest of our team out there to put us through late game.
Yep. So what was going through your heads when you saw EPIK make the Kassadin pick?
Kassadin can get really shut down in lane, which didn't end up actually happening. We got a kill or something. We put Tryndamere against it, which was, I guess, a really good counter pick, but we hadn't played with Tryndamere since the recent nerfs. And I guess they hit him pretty hard because he didn't do near as well as we thought he would do against Kassadin. But it's still a really good counter pick to put Tryndamere mid against Kassadin.
Yeah, because as we were casting it, I thought you guys were actually going to be putting Rumble mid.
We thought about that too. Rumble would have done pretty good against Kassadin too. Tryndamere is like, I don't know if you've watched a whole ton of competitive play, but basically when someone puts Kassadin mid, it's almost like second thought to just put Tryndamere mid because Tryndamere is so strong and can shut down Kassadin really hard. So it's like a double whammy. Tryndamere gets free farm and Kassadin essentially gets no farm.
And not to mention,
so it wasn't a stat we made up ourselves. We've seen other teams do it and run it very successfully.
Yeah. And not to mention, you shut down a Mumu pretty hard with that invade.
Yeah. Well, normally when you invade blue, if you do it early, they have the opportunity to go and take your blue, and we didn't want to give a Mumu the blue at all. We didn't want to trade blues, or we just knew we could outman them. So we just waited till it spawned and then just took him off of it because he knew he couldn't fight us. And then by then he'd taken too much time to get blue, to go to our side and get our blue. So that put him behind a little bit.
The Corki pick, another strength of it really was the fact that Corki is kind of an early game caster as far as DPS is concerned. Were you guys concerned at all, I guess particularly without that Corki pick, but that you were very, I don't know, physical damage heavy, just if the enemy team could hold off and get some armor, that they would maybe counter some of your, too much of your damage?
We weren't really concerned. Whenever Prolly plays Rumble, we know we're going to have a lot of AP damage because Rumble is one of the 3 champions. I guess he plays extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if they ever leave Rumble up on the board, Rumble or Kennen, we're likely to take one of those. And both games they banned Kennen from us. So we just took the Rumble that they gave us. Apparently Rumble versus Vlad isn't the best lane. Like, probably didn't feel like he could get kills in lane against Vlad. I guess he did end up getting a couple, but just our confidence in the pick, we weren't that scared. But yeah, having that extra magic damage from Corki definitely was a big boost for us. It stopped them from building exclusively armor.
Okay, and then next week, so how you guys feeling about facing up against Curse?
We haven't played Curse a whole lot. I think overall they probably beaten us more than we've beaten them. But I don't know. Probably going to ban Vigar.
Yeah,
preliminary thought.
That should be pretty interesting to see. That was actually we thought that Vigar might show up last week, but Nijaki was busy trying to get visa stuff for IEM Kiev, I guess. But yeah, it should be pretty exciting. I don't know. Congratulations. Thanks for coming on. Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to say?
Any shout-outs?
Yeah. The Twitter is at RFLX _gaming, and you can go there and follow us there. Also, through there you can, and other places you can find our Facebook and whatnot. Just go and follow us. I'm constantly announcing things all the time over Twitter and Facebook, and the people that follow us, they always get to see when we start streaming, when we have tournaments going on, scrims going on. So if you're, interested in watching competitive play, or you just like to sit down and waste some time and maybe learn a thing or two from these pros, then yeah, just follow us and keep track. Have it forward to your phone. Send you a text.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. Congratulations once again, and I love you guys. I'm a big fan, and I'm really looking to see what comes in the future for you guys.
Thank you. It's been great being on the show.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Once again, I'm the Red Baron.
I'm
This is
HatPerson.
HatPerson.
Hello. And remember, we have a whole bunch of these Riot NASA skins for you guys. And remember, if you have an awesome replay, be sure to send it to us, iplreplays@gmail.com. We are waiting for them. These codes are waiting for you. We hope you hit us up on Twitter. We hope one of you will be enjoying your Razer mousepad and IPL hoodie.
Yeah.
And as for us, next week, Reflex versus Curse. Oh! 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 Come on!
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Wow!
This is my excited face.
That's your excited face. It is going to be a very fun week next week. We hope you guys are excited for it as well.
Yeah.
From myself, from the Red Baron, from everyone here at the IGN Pro League, we thank you for joining us tonight. This is IPL Killing Spree. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next week.